warm. And you want to take your frosting, and this is the fun part, you're going to totally destroy this cake. Take the frosting and just throw it on the cake. Yep. On the cake. We're not going to be spreading this, as you will soon find out. Okay, take an ordinary kitchen fork and proceed to mash everything together. Stir it up into a big globby mess. When this gets finished, it's going to look like cookie dough. And try to be a little neater than I'm being at the moment. It seems like it's going to jump out of the pan here. But once we get this all blended, we're going to put it in a freezer container and freeze it for at least 2 hours, so that way it turns into a consistency that you can work with. I like to freeze it overnight just to make sure it's good and solid. It's not really solid. You'll see when you make it, if you make it, the type of consistency it is. It's not all gooey mess like it is now. But once it's frozen, you're going to shape them into balls and then dip them into your melting chocolate or your almond bark and turn it into cake, candy cake, I guess you want to call it, a candy cake. But yeah, since the cake is warm, it kind of melts the frosting into it, makes it a little easier to blend. If you were to do this with a completely cool cake, it would be an even bigger mess than what I'm making. But just kind of eyeball it, and you can kind of tell when it's all moist with the frosting and everything there. I guess if you were brave and you wanted to do it with your hands, you could go in there and smush it all together with your hands, kind of like you would if you're making a meatloaf or something. But yeah, now you've got this big gloppy wet mess of cake. Doesn't look very appetizing, but once you dip it into the melting chocolate, you'd be surprised at how awesome this is. Alrighty, let's see if I can do this without getting it all over the floor and myself. And one of the good things about this recipe is if you have to, let's say, make a cake for a party for somebody, you can do this and have 60 or 60, you can have up to 100 individual balls or servings, and people can just help themselves. You don't have to worry about them saying, oh, I want a big piece, or I want a little piece. They all get their own piece. And the bad part is, because of their shape and size, it's easy to eat more than you intend. Because once you start eating them and you find out how good they are, next thing you know, you've had 3 or 4 pieces of actual cake instead of just a little individual bite-sized piece. Alright, this is going to go in the freezer for a couple hours, and then I'll show you how to scoop them out and dip them in the chocolate. Okay, now we're going to take the frozen cake batter. As you can see, it's nice and solid now. And we're going to scoop it up into little balls, put them on this tray lined with wax paper because we don't want it to stick. Okay. Now, depending on the size that you make these balls, and they don't have to be perfectly round, just keep in mind that you want to have them some semblance of a round shape there. But the larger the ball, the less you'll have. So I've got a smaller one there, but I think they're too small. You want something that's just about bite size, something like that right there. But shape your balls. That sounded kind of funny, didn't it? Shape your balls. Oh, I'm such a naughty girl. Okay. And you don't necessarily need to use a melon baller like I do. I just find it's just easier for me to get it in and out of the shape. But one cake mix will make between 75 and 100 cake balls.